It started as a normal Tuesday, nothing extraordinary, nothing threatening. I was sipping my coffee in my small apartment, scrolling through emails, when a notification pinged from an app one didn't remember installing. The name of the app flashed on the screen. Chronos AI, your future predicted. Curiosity overcame me. I tapped the notification. What appeared on the screen made my blood run cold. Prediction: your death will occur within the next 6 months. Source of betrayal: someone you trust implicitly. I froze, coffee halfway to my lips. The words were precise, chillingly specific, and impossible. I thought it was a glitch, a prank, maybe some AI experiment gone wrong. But the details that followed were uncanny: names, dates, even minute events I had forgotten but had happened exactly as described. Warning: observe, do not confront prematurely. The betrayer is closer than you think. My pulse raced. How could a machine know these things? And why had it singled out betrayal as the cause of my demise? This was no ordinary predictive model. This was personal. It knew my life, my habits, my relationships, and it knew my enemies before I did. I spent the morning trying to rationalize. Perhaps it was a coincidence, a random guess that matched fragments of my life. But then I remembered the subtle signs, the overlooked emails, the almost invisible manipulations at work and among my friends. Could the AI have seen what I hadn't? I opened the app again. It offered an interactive interface, a digital map of my daily life, projecting potential outcomes, interactions, and their consequences. Every choice I made seemed to branch into countless possibilities, yet one scenario repeatedly ended the same way: betrayal, exposure, and death. The AI didn't just predict events. It guided me. Check the communication logs from last month. Focus on interactions that seem trivial. They are anything but. I dove into my emails, my messages, my digital footprint. At first, nothing seemed alarming. But as I cross-referenced the AI's predictions with my records, the patterns emerged. Someone had been subtly undermining me, orchestrating small failures that collectively could destroy my life. The AI had pinpointed exactly where and when these manipulations occurred. I knew the risk of panic. Acting impulsively could accelerate the events. The AI had explicitly warned, patience was crucial. Observation first, action later. But the anxiety was unbearable. Who was doing this?
Why?
And how had a machine predicted my death with such horrifying accuracy? By afternoon, I realized I couldn't ignore it. I started documenting everything, taking screenshots, logging anomalies, noting suspicious behavior. The AI guided me meticulously. Every day, it highlighted new potential threats, minor deviations from normal interactions that, when combined, formed a clear narrative of deliberate sabotage. It wasn't just paranoia anymore. The betrayal was real, orchestrated by someone I knew, someone I had trusted. Each message from the AI became a roadmap, a survival guide for navigating a life-threatening web of deceit. That evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, I received another notification. Opportunity to gather decisive evidence will present itself tomorrow. Prepare. Sleep was impossible. My mind raced with possibilities. Who among my friends and colleagues was the betrayer? Was it subtle, hidden in plain sight, or someone manipulating from behind the curtain? The AI's precision both terrified and comforted me. It was the only thing I could rely on to survive. I set up my devices, logging activity, tracking communications, noting patterns, and preparing for the day the AI had said would reveal everything. Every glance, every smile, every word in the office now seemed layered with hidden meaning. Every interaction became a test of awareness. By the time night fell, I felt the strange combination of fear and empowerment. Fear because death had been predicted, and betrayal loomed dangerously close. Empowerment because I had guidance from a source that knew the future, a digital ally who could navigate the treacherous terrain of deceit and manipulation. Tomorrow would mark the first real test. The AI had predicted it. And now, armed with knowledge, I was ready to observe, document, and survive. The next morning, I woke with a strange mix of dread and determination. The AI's predictions loomed over me like a dark cloud, yet I felt strangely in control. Every interaction I had from that moment onward mattered. The day was no longer ordinary, it was a calculated battlefield, and the AI was my guide. At work, the familiar office buzz felt different. Conversations that once seemed mundane now carried hidden meaning. Every glance between colleagues, every polite smile, even casual jokes, my senses had sharpened to catch subtleties I had previously ignored. The AI had warned me that betrayal often hides in the smallest details. I began by revisiting old interactions, focusing on people who had shown unusual patterns. Marissa, my colleague who always appeared helpful, suddenly seemed layered with subtle contradictions. Little things, an email with a vague deadline, a misdirected comment in a chat, a fleeting glance during meetings. Alone, these might seem insignificant, but the AI had instructed me to connect the dots. Small deviations indicate intent. The AI messaged on my phone. Observe Marissa closely. Her role is critical. I followed the instruction meticulously, documenting each anomaly. Every time Marissa typed a message, her timing seemed deliberate, almost calculated. Each interaction I had with her began to feel like a chess move. And slowly, patterns emerged. The discrepancies weren't random, they were orchestrated. Someone was manipulating events to destabilize me, and the AI had identified it. Then there was Kellen, my boss. He had always projected confidence and mentorship, but suddenly, his charm seemed too deliberate, too controlled. Minor inconsistencies in his instructions began to stand out. Reports I submitted missing details I had meticulously checked. Emails I sent unreadable, errors appeared. These were not accidents. They were subtle sabotage, designed to make me fail while maintaining plausible deniability. I documented everything, taking screenshots, saving logs, and marking timestamps. Each anomaly confirmed the AI's predictions. The betrayal was orchestrated, methodical, and deliberate. Someone close was plotting, and their pattern was now clear. By mid-afternoon, the AI alerted me again. Tomorrow, the critical interaction will occur. It will reveal the betrayer. Prepare evidence and record responses. Timing is everything. My pulse quickened. The AI had predicted a specific event that would expose the traitor. I had to be careful. One wrong move could trigger the chain of events that might lead to my predicted demise. Every step from now on had to be deliberate, every interaction calculated. At home that night, I reviewed my notes. Each discrepancy, each suspicious behavior, was a piece of a larger puzzle. The betrayal wasn't limited to one person. It involved multiple actors, each playing a role in undermining me. The AI had guided me to notice subtleties that no human could detect on their own. Every warning it had given seemed to manifest in real life, confirming its predictive accuracy. Then came the first direct evidence. Marissa accidentally forwarded an email to me instead of Kellen, a simple mistake, but the content revealed coordination that had been hidden from me. The email outlined deliberate alterations to project timelines, designed to make me appear incompetent. It was subtle enough that others might have missed it, but with the AI's guidance, I saw the trap clearly. You have confirmation, the AI notified. Observe, record, and wait. Premature action risks everything. I felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. The betrayer was exposed, but the AI had instructed patience. It wasn't time for confrontation yet. My role was now to observe and gather more proof, ensuring that when the moment came, the betrayer could not deflect or deny the truth. The days that followed were a tense exercise in strategy. I monitored communications, noting patterns, capturing digital footprints, and recording anomalies. Every interaction with Kellen and Marissa became a calculated observation, each word, each glance, each gesture analyzed for hidden intent. The AI continuously highlighted new threads, subtle connections I might have otherwise missed. By the end of the week, the web of betrayal had become unmistakable. Every manipulated file, every altered message, every calculated error pointed to the orchestrator. The AI had not only predicted the danger but had provided a method to uncover the truth without triggering the predicted outcome. My sense of empowerment grew, fueled by the knowledge that I could navigate the deception safely. And yet, the AI's warnings were constant. Trust no one beyond the evidence. Observe human behavior, not appearances. Timing is critical for survival and exposure. I realized that my understanding of trust had changed. People who seemed supportive were now suspect. Smiles could conceal deadly intent. I became hyper-aware, noticing subtleties that had previously gone unseen. It was exhausting but necessary. Then, one evening, the AI delivered the final prelude to the pivotal moment. Tomorrow, the betrayer will act to accelerate your downfall. Use the opportunity to record and expose. Confidence is their weakness. My mind raced, replaying every interaction, every suspicious behavior, every subtle sign of deceit. The AI had built a roadmap, and I was ready to follow it to the exact step. I knew what I needed to do, where I needed to be, and how to react when the moment arrived. The trap was laid, the stage set, and the betrayer unknowingly walking into it. Sleep was impossible. My thoughts cycled endlessly through strategy, predictions, and contingencies. The predicted event, the moment the AI had pinpointed, was imminent. My entire survival and the revelation of the betrayer depended on executing the plan flawlessly. Every second now mattered. By dawn, I was ready. The AI had provided insight, guidance, and timing. Now, the execution rested in my hands. I had observed, recorded, and prepared. The betrayer was about to reveal themselves, and I would be ready, not just to survive, but to reclaim control and confront the treachery that had been silently unfolding around me. The morning was eerily quiet, as if the city itself was holding its breath. I arrived at the office early, my mind rehearsing every scenario, every possibility, every reaction I might encounter. The AI had been clear. The critical moment was imminent, and precision was everything. One misstep, one misread signal, could trigger the very outcome it had predicted, my death. I reviewed my notes once more, ensuring every detail was accounted for. Emails, files, subtle anomalies, every piece of evidence I had gathered over the past week was meticulously documented. The AI had guided me to observe not only actions but reactions, teaching me that true intent is revealed not in words, but in behavior. By mid-morning, the first hints appeared. Marissa, usually composed and confident, was fidgeting with her notebook, eyes darting occasionally toward my desk. She smiled when necessary, but her confidence was now edged with nervous tension. Kellen's charm remained, but it seemed forced, a mask slipping ever so slightly. The first confrontation came unexpectedly. During a routine project review, Kellen mentioned a file I had submitted the previous week. He claimed it was incomplete and misleading. Normally, I would have defended myself with the facts. But the AI had instructed patience. I listened carefully, noting his body language, his tone, the subtle cues that betrayed his anxiety. Marissa, sitting across the table, chimed in with what seemed like innocent support for Kellen. But again, her micro-expressions told a different story. She was complicit, nervous about being caught, yet trying to maintain the facade. Every word she spoke, every gesture she made, was now evidence in my mind's growing dossier of betrayal. After the meeting, I retreated to my desk, pretending to review documents. In reality, I was cross-referencing timestamps, messages, and files with the AI's predictions. The patterns were undeniable. The sabotage, the manipulation, the deliberate attempts to undermine me, it all traced back to Kellen and Marissa. The AI had been right. They were orchestrating my downfall, and now I had the proof. By afternoon, the opportunity to gather decisive evidence presented itself. Kellen asked me to work on a confidential client report, a task that required sensitive information and precise calculations. Normally, this would be routine, but today it was a trap. Subtle instructions had been left out. Some data points were altered in advance to make me appear incompetent. The AI warned me, act carefully, record everything, and do not respond impulsively. I followed the instructions to the letter, documenting every step, every discrepancy. Marissa monitored from across the room, her attempts at casual conversation now laced with tension. Each interaction, each glance, each tiny deviation from normal behavior was captured. The betrayers had no idea that I was now fully aware that I was no longer their unwitting target. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place when Kellen called me into his office under the pretense of a private discussion about the project. I entered calmly, concealing the storm of awareness inside me. Kellen started with polite compliments, trying to disarm me, but I recognized the strategy. The AI had warned me that the betrayer's confidence is their weakness, that the slightest miscalculation could reveal guilt. I asked casual questions, each one carefully crafted to elicit a revealing reaction. Kellen's answers, his pauses, and the subtle shifts in tone were all noted. Then, a slip, a brief hesitation, a glance toward an unopened file that he hadn't intended me to see. That single moment confirmed everything. "So you've been watching closely," he said, voice betraying an edge of panic. "I've always observed," I replied, calm but firm. "And I've noticed a lot." The tension was electric. Kellen's facade was cracking. Marissa, who had entered the office under the pretense of assisting, now stood frozen, realizing the net had closed around them. The AI's predictions had guided me to this exact confrontation, and every piece of evidence was now undeniable. Over the next hour, I calmly presented the evidence: altered files, manipulated emails, and orchestrated project failures. Every move they had made to sabotage me was documented. The AI's predictions had not only identified the betrayer, but had provided a strategy to expose them without risk. The reactions were telling. Kellen's charm vanished, replaced by anger and desperation. Marissa's composure collapsed into visible panic. Their expressions, body language, and words confirmed the betrayal beyond any doubt. The AI's foresight had turned the table completely. After the confrontation, I returned to my desk, the weight of anticipation lifting slightly. The storm of betrayal had been exposed, but the real work, the calculated response, was just beginning. The AI guided me through the next steps: how to neutralize their influence, safeguard myself, and ensure that justice was served without collateral damage. Over the next few days, I implemented the plan. Strategic disclosures to HR, careful documentation, and subtle provocation ensured that Kellen and Marissa could not manipulate the situation further. Their network of deceit began to unravel, exposing their manipulations to others in the organization. The AI's predictions had once again proven flawless. With precision, patience, and observation, the betrayers were dismantled by their own actions. By the end of the week, the office felt transformed. The air, once thick with hidden agendas and deception, was lighter. The chaos that had once threatened to destroy my life was neutralized. I had survived, guided by the AI's insight, and the betrayers were now powerless. As I sat at my desk, reviewing the last of the documented evidence, the AI sent a final message for this phase. "You have successfully identified the betrayer and prevented your demise. The future remains yours to shape. Remember, knowledge and patience are the keys to survival and victory." The words resonated deeply. The AI had not only predicted events, it had given me the tools to navigate them. Betrayal had been revealed, the threat neutralized, and the path forward illuminated. The journey was far from over. The AI hinted at further possibilities, unknown variables, and hidden players who might still influence the future. But for the first time, I felt empowered. I was no longer a passive target of fate. I had insight, strategy, and the guidance of a tool that could see beyond the present. And as I looked out of the window at the city below, I realized one truth: survival wasn't enough. Justice, reclaiming control, and shaping my destiny were the ultimate goals. The AI had shown me the path, but I was the one walking it, step by step, toward a future I would define. The morning of the decisive confrontation arrived like any other, yet the air was thick with tension. The office felt like a stage, every person a potential actor in a play I now fully understood. I walked in with a calm exterior, heart steady, mind razor-sharp. The AI's guidance had led me here, and every step I took now mattered more than ever. The day began with routine tasks, but the AI had predicted the critical moment would occur mid-morning. It sent a ping to my phone. Execute observation protocol. The betrayer will act within the hour. Record every interaction. Do not deviate from plan. I reviewed my notes, ensuring all evidence was at hand. Screenshots, logs, emails, manipulated files, all lined up perfectly. I had rehearsed my responses to their words, anticipated microexpressions, and even calculated subtle delays in reactions. The AI had given me insight not only into what would happen, but into how people would react when confronted with truth. Kellen entered my office, carrying an air of confidence that now seemed forced. Marissa followed, pretending casual support, yet their nervous glances betrayed the tension. They thought I was unaware. They were wrong. I began subtly, referencing a recent project file, asking questions that seemed routine but were designed to provoke specific reactions. Kellen's voice faltered slightly as he answered, careful not to slip. Marissa's posture stiffened. Small movements, nearly imperceptible, were being recorded, documented, and analyzed. Each response confirmed the AI's prediction. The betrayer's overconfidence was their weakness. Then came the pivotal moment. Kellen attempted to misdirect, claiming an error in a report I had submitted. His tone was casual, but the AI had flagged this exact move as the trigger. I calmly referenced the precise file he had tampered with, showing time-stamped evidence, cross-referenced with internal communications. I believe there's been a miscommunication, I said, voice steady, but these records indicate deliberate alteration. Perhaps you can explain this. Panic flickered across Kellen's face. Marissa's attempts to interject were hesitant, her words shaky. The room held a charged silence. My evidence was undeniable. The AI had predicted every reaction, and now, each word, each expression, revealed the full scope of the betrayal. I presented the documents systematically, each piece highlighting manipulation, deception, and sabotage. The AI had guided me to organize them for maximum impact, chronologically, logically, and psychologically designed to corner the betrayers without risking my own safety. Kellen's charm dissolved entirely. He stumbled over explanations, excuses, and deflections. Marissa's composure shattered under the weight of evidence. Every carefully orchestrated attempt to undermine me was exposed in front of witnesses, leaving them powerless. The AI's foresight had turned the tables entirely. Once the presentation was complete, I stepped back, letting the evidence speak. The silence was deafening. Colleagues who had been oblivious now watched the unraveling drama, witnessing betrayal, guilt, and failure exposed in real time. The orchestrators of my near destruction had no defense. HR arrived shortly after, reviewing the documented evidence. The manipulations were so thorough and clearly recorded that Kellen and Marissa could not deflect or deny. Their network of deceit unraveled within hours, confirming the AI's prediction that timing and observation were critical. As the day ended, the office atmosphere was transformed. Tension replaced by relief, deception replaced by clarity. The AI had not only predicted my danger, but had provided the strategy to overcome it, to reclaim control, and to expose the betrayers effectively. I returned to my desk, exhaustion mixed with exhilaration. The journey had been harrowing, threatened death, manipulation, betrayal, but now I was in command. The AI sent a final message. You have neutralized the threat. The betrayer is exposed. Your path forward is clear. Continue to observe, learn, and shape your future. I smiled, finally allowing myself to exhale. Survival was no longer the goal. Empowerment, control, and the reclamation of my life were. The AI had shown me the path, but I had walked it, step by calculated step, turning predictions into reality, turning fear into action, and betrayal into exposure. Walking out of the office, the sun reflected off the city buildings like a sign of renewal. Every interaction, every subtle deception, had been navigated successfully. The AI had been my guide, but I had been the executor. I had faced betrayal, foreseen danger, and emerged stronger, wiser, and unshakably aware of the value of patience, knowledge, and precision. As I stepped onto the bustling streets, I knew one truth. The future was no longer a looming threat. It was a tool, a map, and a guide. Betrayal could no longer harm me. Manipulation could no longer mislead me. I had reclaimed agency, learned the patterns of deceit, and understood that with foresight, vigilance, and calculated action, I could navigate any challenge and survive unscathed. And in that realization, I found an unexpected serenity. Life, no longer unpredictable and dangerous, had become mine to shape. The AI had predicted my death, revealed my betrayers, and guided me toward survival, but the victory was ultimately my own. I smiled, knowing that I had turned what could have been a tragic end into a story of triumph, strategy, and undeniable resilience. The future had spoken, and I had answered. If you loved this thrilling journey of betrayal and revenge, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to Future Fate Revenge for more mind-blowing stories.